Thank you for being patient.
Good morning, Madam President. It was an honor to see such groups of accomplishment, the mighty Deltas and then the Western basketball team. So I enjoyed it.
The floor is yours.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the time. This is an issue that has been plaguing the city of Detroit for a long time. We think we have an approach, and joining me today is Reverend Dr. Wendell Anthony, the head of the Detroit chapter of the NAACP, Kevin Tolbert from the UAW, and our corporation counsel, Butch Hollowell, who was previously both the general counsel for the NAACP and the state of Michigan's insurance advocate. As this body remembers, last December you approved a contract to do an actuarial study of D-Insurance. We hired a national outfit, Pinnacle, and we expect their final report to be coming out shortly. But I have immersed myself in this. It's been the most complicated thing that I've ever dealt with. But they very early on said to us, we can do all the study you want, but if you don't fundamentally change the state law, nothing in our report is going to change the premiums. And so we've started to head down this path, and I appreciate the opportunity today to talk about what we're proposing, where we stand, and where we're going from here. All right, there we go. So today, as everybody knows, if you're driving a car in the city of Detroit, you're spending somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000 a car for your insurance. It varies widely depending on your age, your record, the kind of car. But on average, if you boil it all out, the average Detroiter's car insurance is about $3,400. The same insurance for that same car in the suburbs is about $1,700. On average, Detroiters are paying twice as much for car insurance as people in the surrounding communities. I didn't know where this was going when I started this, but here's what I know for sure. Michigan's auto no-fault law today is a major barrier to economic inclusion in this city. If we believe that one of our central missions is to make sure that everybody is included in the economic recovery that's happening in this state and this city, auto no-fault turns out to be one of our biggest problems. Because, as we know, mobility is essential for opportunity. You got to get to a job. And with our regional transit system, people are very limited in their career choices. 61% of Detroiters who are working today are working at jobs outside the city. They need transportation, and unless they happen to have the fortune to be working on a smart bus line, they need a car. We have 75,000 Detroiters who are in the city looking for work who are unemployed today, which means their choices of jobs is very limited if they don't have access to a car. And in 38 states, if you're trying to get work, in 38 states, you do not have to buy insurance in order to drive. It's not a legal requirement. You can choose the amount of insurance you want. In 11 other states, you have choices in the amount of insurance. You have to buy some, but you have choices in the amount of insurance before you can drive. Michigan is today the only state in the country where it is a crime to drive unless you first buy unlimited medical coverage. We are excluding you from being able to lawfully transport yourself unless you buy unlimited medical coverage. And so people who need a car to get to work and they can't afford it, if they got to get to work to support themselves, we are criminalizing them. And we know what's happening in this city. Over 50% of the drivers who are driving are uninsured. You think about what that means. If they get stopped, they are subject to misdemeanor convictions, a $500 fine, and up to a year in jail. We are pushing people, because of their economic circumstance, into being criminals by this no-fault system. And the question is, who is speaking for those who can't afford this? Here's the other thing. If you are a driver without insurance and you get in an accident, you have no coverage. Okay, you don't get any coverage at all. So you see the TV ads they're running where the injured person says, I was glad I had this unlimited benefit. I think that's a great thing. If you're well enough off that you could afford to buy that, that's a great thing. Nobody's running any TV ads for the 50% of Detroiters who have no insurance at all, have no coverage at all. In fact, if we look at what's going on in Lansing today, the insurance companies have lobbyists, the hospitals have lobbyists, the trial lawyers have lobbyists, but the 50% of Detroiters who don't have car insurance, the question is, who's going to speak for them? And that's how we started down this track. It's how the NAACP for the last 25 years has taken this on as a major issue in this city. So, what we have today are two separate classes in Michigan. We have the well-off. Those who can afford to buy the car insurance have the richest medical benefits in America. So if you're well enough off to buy insurance, you're in excellent shape. You got the best coverage anywhere. If you can't, you're driving and risking arrest. Those are the two classes. There is no in-between. Michigan is the only state that doesn't have an in-between that gives people the ability to drive by buying a lower cost option. And that's what we're proposing to fix. So, I have learned more about car insurance than I ever wanted to know. And today I'm going to show you what makes up the car insurance premium that you're paying. About 6% of your premium is so-called bodily injury. It's coverage for the passenger who's riding in your car. About 18% of your coverage is theft. People think car theft in Detroit is what's driving the auto insurance rates. It's absolutely not true. Theft is only 18% of your premium. Collision, the damage to your car to fix your car when you get in an accident, is about 31%. And I would encourage Detroiters who are listeners, go look at your car insurance bill. They'll actually spell this out for you. You'll be able to see this on your own bill. It may vary a little bit, but it's going to be close to this. 44% of the premium you are paying today is going for medical insurance, the so-called PIP, personal injury protection. Far and away, the biggest cost of car insurance for Detroiters today is the PIP, the medical coverage. So, how does PIP work? Well, let me start a step before that. A third of Detroiters only buy the PIP because the law doesn't require you to buy collision or theft in order to drive. Now, if you're leasing a car, the leasing company will require you to. But about a third of Detroiters today are just buying the minimum medical care. If you are one of those drivers who's only buying the medical side, 88% of what you're paying today is the PIP. It's the medical coverage. And 12% is the bodily injury. So for people who just want to buy the bare minimum in order to be able to drive lawfully, they are getting killed on the medical insurance. So how does PIP work? Today, most people in this city and this country already have health care coverage. You might have it through your employer. You might have it through Medicare. You might have it through Obamacare, through Medicaid, through VA. So today, here's what happens. If you fall off a ladder and fracture your hip today, you're covered by whatever your health care insurance is, whether it's HAP or Medicare or Obamacare. You fall off that ladder and fracture your hip, you would go to the emergency room, you go to the doctor, you'd be covered by your health care coverage. If you fracture your hip in a car accident, you'll go to that same doctor, except your medical coverage is going to get paid for out of your car insurance premium. So what this means is, even if you have health care coverage today, in 38 states, you fracture that hip, your medical coverage is covered by the health care you already have. In Michigan, we make you buy additional insurance with your car insurance, regardless of what health care you already have. For many people in this state, you are buying double medical coverage with that car insurance premium. So, if you were going to be covered anyway when you go to the doctor or the hospital, if you were going to be covered by Obamacare or Medicaid, why is everybody fighting? Why do the hospitals and the doctors care? If you're going to be covered either way, why are they running all these TV ads? Well, from my past life, this is something I'm extremely familiar with. No two patients get paid the same at a doctor or a hospital's office. And so if you're on Medicare, you get paid about 80% of the standard Blue Cross rate. That's what a doctor or hospital gets paid. If you've got Blue Cross, you're up to 100%. So if you have Medicare and you think that at your doctor's office or your hospital they seem to be more excited about the person with the Blue Cross card, you might be right. they get paid better. If you come in with a car accident and you're paid out of your car insurance, you are paid 300%. You're paid triple. And so if you're a doctor or a hospital, you know that if that person comes in with the broken hip in the car accident, you're going to get paid triple for exactly the same services as if they fell off the ladder. And when you pay that triple coverage, it's going straight into your car insurance premium. This is why they're fighting so hard. They don't want it to fall back on standard Blue Cross or Medicaid or Obamacare. They want to continue to get the triple payment. So that doesn't explain why Detroit's rates is so much higher than anybody else. I've just showed you why Michigan has the highest car insurance rates in America. There's no question why that is. Why are Detroiters getting charged double suburbanites? So this is what the actuarial study is starting to show that we'll be releasing. But here's what it shows. Car accidents, suburbanites get in car accidents, about 9 drivers out of 1,000 get in a car accident every year. In Detroit, 9 drivers out of 1,000 get in a car accident every year. It's almost identical. Detroiters are not getting in any more accidents than suburbanites. So why should the medical coverage be more? Because we all know what's going on in this state. You can't turn on it, in this city in particular, you can't turn on the TV without an ad, been in an accident. You run into the billboards, are you in pain? And here is what is causing the problem. In the suburbs, 6 out of 1,000 file a medical claim. In Detroit, it's 12 out of 1,000. Detroiters are filing medical claims for the same number of accidents twice as often. That is what is driving this. And then when they do file, how much does it cost? If you look at on car repairs, suburbanites and Detroiters are almost the same amount that gets paid to repair the car. But if you look at the claim, how much medical bills will run up, the average suburbanite who makes a medical claim in a car insurance accident gets $30,000 in bills. The average Detroiter is running up $60,000 in bills. We've got a network going on in this city, but Detroiters are going to more rehab treatments, getting more MRIs, getting more CTs. We are running up the rate of this twice as often as they are in the suburbs, and we're charging twice as much. So you can see what's happening. This is why when the NAACP at one point sued AAA saying it was discriminatory, why they ultimately did not win the underlying merits of the case. The insurance companies can point to this. They can prove objectively that Detroiters are filing twice as many medical claims, and when they do, it costs twice as much. And so this is why our actuary said from the beginning, I can do all the studies you want, but if you don't change the unlimited medical coverage, we're not going to make a change in the premiums. So here's our proposal. We want to offer a limited benefit option that'll cut Detroiters' rates 25 to 33%. We believe we could have $1,000 savings for many Detroiters by the first of next year. We can make this fundamentally more affordable, and we think we can do it with an excellent policy. So as everybody here knows, the Detroit City Charter provides that we can establish an insurance system in the city of Detroit. Former council member Joanne Watson was instrumental in getting that language in the charter, and we've been pursuing it. We are now seeking passage of Senate Bill 288 to allow us to offer another option, because under the state's no-fault law today, nobody can offer any option except unlimited insurance. And we believe we will be able to give our citizens a choice, so that by January, our citizens can keep buying the same coverage they have today. Nobody's taking that away from them. You like your current insurance, you want to pay the $3,400 and have unlimited coverage, you can buy it, but you'll have a second choice. You'll have a de-insurance option, which you can then make a decision on what's best for you. So, how far out of whack are we? 38 states don't require you to buy any minimum PIP coverage. You can drive and make your own choice. Here are the 12 states with the highest requirement. Utah has a requirement of $3,000. The state of Utah says if you want to drive a car in Utah, you have to buy $3,000 in medical insurance on your car premium before it falls under your Blue Cross or your Medicare or your Obamacare. So Utah, you have to buy $3,000 in medical coverage. In Kansas, you got to buy $4,500. Pennsylvania, $5,000. Massachusetts, held up as one of the best no-fault states in America. You have to buy $8,000 in coverage. Kentucky, it's 10. Hawaii, it's 10. Florida, it's 10. North Dakota, it's 30. Minnesota, it's 40. In New York, you have to buy $50,000 in medical coverage on your car insurance. In New Jersey, you have to buy $250,000. And the number one requirement in America, Michigan, the only state in America that says you have to buy unlimited coverage paid for out of your car insurance premium. You can't use any of your other health care coverage. Only state in the country to do that. And so how do we change this? Here's what we're proposing. We want to offer a policy that the minimum hospital care coverage would be $250,000. That's for the emergency room and the hospital stay after the accident. I would say probably 1 in 10,000 drivers will run up a hospital bill of over $250,000. But we're going to be honest, this is going to be real. You're not going to cut your premiums without cutting your coverage. And so what's going to happen is this. If you're that 1 in 10,000 driver who gets in an accident so severe that you go above the cap, the hospital's going to send you a bill for the amount that's above that cap. That's what's going to happen. The hospital has to treat you by law. Hospitals have charity care policies. But there will be some people who will get a bill. So you'll have a choice. Do I want to buy my full benefit option, or do I want to buy a more limited benefit option? And if I have an accident that goes over $250,000, I'm going to have to deal with the bills. Choices Americans are making in the other 49 states every single day. After your hospital, we have a $25,000 limit. And this really comes from my background in the medical care. I actually think the triple coverage for the hospitals is justified. If you think about it, we have in this city 5 outstanding trauma care centers. You have St. John's, Henry Ford, Children's, Sinai Grace, and Receiving. 5 outstanding trauma centers. Think about what a trauma hospital does. It's got an orthopedic surgeon on standby. It's got a cardiologist on standby. It's got a neurosurgeon on standby. All these people are waiting in case there's an accident. It costs a lot of money to have all those specialists on standby. The logic behind charging triple rates on a hospital, to me, always made sense. Otherwise, if you don't do that, we're not going to protect our trauma centers, which is why I did not support the original bill that came out of the Senate, because we do need to protect our hospitals on the triple rate. On the other hand, when you're scheduled for an MRI 2 weeks from Thursday, how do you justify charging the car insurance person triple what you charge the person coming off the ladder? On all of our rehab treatments, they're scheduled. I don't believe there is any basis for the triple payment after you've been released from the hospital. And so we're proposing, after the hospital stay, a PIP coverage of $25,000. After $25,000, if you need more treatments, it'll go on your employer or your Medicare or your Obamacare, just like it does every place else. It won't mean you're without care. It means that you've chosen only to take $25,000 paid for in your car insurance. And so for anybody who wants to say, hey, this is not a good policy, let me show you how the de-insurance policy would compare to the rest of America. At $250,000 hospital coverage, we're going to match the highest state in America outside of Michigan. Okay? It is going to be outstanding coverage. And on the post-hospital PIP, we're going to be higher coverage than 45 states. And so what we are proposing is we're saying, let's make car insurance more affordable for Detroiters. Let's take $1,000 off the bill, and we'll still have coverage if you choose this option that is better than 45 to 49 other states. And so what happens now? We're trying to get Senate Bill 288 substitute through. So we're trying on the Senate Insurance Committee. I don't know whether we're going to be successful in the next week or two, but we're pushing really hard. If it gets passed, here's what's going to happen under the charter. We will go out for competitive bids, and we'll select insurance companies who are willing to bid on de-insurance and tell us what their rates are. Might be AAA, might be State Farm, might be Geico, might be 5, 6, or 8 of them. We're going to go out for competitive bids, see what their rates are, make sure that we feel good about the companies. Those bids will then be submitted to this body, City Council. And City Council will make the decision which of these companies are selected to offer D insurance. And after that, I'm hoping by January of 16, when Detroit residents go into their AAA office, and I talked to a vice president from AAA last week, they said after my first presentations, Detroiters have started showing up in the AAA offices asking to buy D insurance right now. They had to send out memos to all their staff explaining what to say. But I'm hopeful in January that no matter what insurance company you go into, you'll say, show me the unlimited benefit rate, show me the D insurance rate, and then every Detroiter can make a decision on what they want to buy. And at the suggestion of Senator Burt Johnson, we've modified the bill to apply to any city in this state that can show that 50% of their drivers are uninsured, because the people in those communities are being criminalized by the high auto insurance rate. So it's possible there could be other cities that do this. But the bottom line is, if we do this right next year, you can buy your full policy at $3,400. You can buy your D insurance policy. I was really pleased that when we did this, we got the unanimous endorsement of the Detroit branch NAACP. The NAACP started in the 1980s with a study of the redlining that was going on and the effect. In the 1990s, they sued AAA. In 2009, they tried to run legislation. At the time, we had a Democratic governor and a Democratic House to try to even the rates across all communities in the state of Michigan. We are not going to get this legislature to vote to raise rates on the rest of the state and lower rates on Detroit. People can talk about it. It's not politically realistic. I feel like Detroiters are tired of being promised things that can't be done. We've got something here that doesn't hurt anybody in the suburbs. It cuts the rates to Detroiters. It gives everybody a choice. And so that's the overview of the plan we're pushing with Senate Bill 288. And with that, I'll turn it over to my partner in this effort, Reverend Wendell Anthony. Reverend?
Good morning, Reverend Anthony.
Good morning, Council President Brenda Jones, and to Council President Pro Tem Cushenberry, and to Councilman Leland, and Councilwoman Sheffield, and Councilman Benson, and Councilwoman Ayers, and Councilman Tate, and Councilman Spivey, and Councilwoman Lopez.
You just got an A for knowing who
Thank you very much. And to all the folk who are here, it's not every Tuesday that I come to the City Council meetings. I think the last time I was here, I was doing a prayer. And I pray for all of us, even when I'm not here, because we all need prayer. And this is such a critical issue. And I think everybody here knows it. The Deltas who are here, they are mothers and daughters and sisters and aunties and grandmothers, et cetera. So are many of you. Everybody in here has somebody that's using the wrong address for insurance. If you live in Detroit, you got a son or a daughter, or you are paying too much for insurance. So many of us are living in the shadows. As the mayor indicated, when I first became president of the NAACP was fighting this issue. We sued AAA, and we could not afford to continue the case because it was very, very expensive. And they put a lot of stuff in the game. But the issue is still the same. Detroiters and Wayne County, we pay more for insurance than any city and county in the country. That's wrong. This is easy. This is not a perfect plan, but it is one of the best plans. And unless somebody else has a better plan, put it on the table. Ain't nobody else putting a better plan on the table. Right now, we have people in Detroit who are making decisions that determine whether or not they will survive just the rigmarole of travel to and from work and who cannot get to work. My mother has never had a traffic accident, but yet she pays twice what they pay in the suburbs, and so does your mama and daddy if they live in Detroit. Some people live right across the street from each other or in certain zip codes. We all know this. Irma Henderson, sat here for years talking about redlining. City still has a red line around it. When Detroit is raised, a red flag goes up. We know that. We have an intransigent legislature, which means that every time we try to do something specific, Detroit, flags go up, barriers are created, and walls begin to be constructed. So to try to move this in a way that's going to embrace the totality of the state right now is not the issue. It's not going to happen. However, the fact that we have Highland Park, Inkster, Ecorse, Pontiac, all those communities that are suffering from similar kind of issues, but none like Detroit because of the numbers, they are embraced as well. And so I'm simply saying I'm here today because the NAACP, we ain't crazy. We know this is not the best plan, but it is the best plan right now. With a different governor, with a different legislative body, then perhaps some other things can occur. So I'm glad that the gentleman who was the former general counsel of the NAACP took some of the NAACP-ism to the city administration. And that is one of the issues we talked about and been concerned about is lower insurance. This is a bread and butter issue. With pensions being cut, with folk being out of work, with the jobless situation that we have in Detroit, if we can reduce the cost of insurance by $1,000 or more, for many people, that's heavy. We're concerned about catastrophic accidents. We pray and don't want anybody. I could walk out of here and have a catastrophic accident, God forbid that. But I have insurance, so does other folk. Many people don't have insurance at all. Yet, when you look at the number of people that have catastrophic accidents versus the number of people that ain't got no insurance, you don't need a PhD to figure that one out. That number is catastrophic accidents here, folk who ain't got insurance here. You do the math. And so the issue becomes, are we going to make some decisions that are going to benefit the vast majority of Detroiters who need this, or are we not? When we had the Fight for Freedom Fund dinner a week or so ago, and most of you were there, and we talked about de-insurance, and you may have heard the mayor talk about it, and then I said de-insurance, de-insurance. Monday, folk were going to their insurance companies asking for de-insurance. It's not implemented. We just mentioned it. That shows you the level of interest and concern that our folk have. And if you doubt it, when you go home this evening, ask your young teenage son or daughter, or ask the one that's using your address, or ask the one that you helping to pay their insurance costs for, or ask the one, you know what I'm talking about, what they think, and they'll give you the answer. They say, where do I sign up at? And we're simply saying, let's get in the door. Let's do something for the D, and that's de-insurance right now. And until we can get something better, we think this is the way to go. And we know we have a wise and harmonious city council that does a lot of introspection and deep digging. And so we want you to dig and see what you come up with. But I think if you dig and as you pursue the benefits of this, I think you will see some of the benefits that we see. It's not a perfect plan, but right now, Madam President, it's the best plan. And I would not be standing here saying what I'm saying to you today if I did not believe that. And until someone else can put something better on the table, I say, give me a D as Detroit Insurance. Thanks.
Thank you.